Welcome to Graybeard Philosophy, bringing ancient wisdom and daily practice to the inner life and the wildernesses we journey, one practice at a time. I'm Brian Winsor, and in this short essay, I want to name the terrain and the direction. Today's essay is called The Wilderness That Finds Us. When pressure narrows options, the inner life shows itself. This is part one of Wilderness Without and Within, where pressure reveals what governs us. Most people think wilderness is something you choose, a backpacking trip, a long hike, a trailhead you drive to on purpose. But a lot of the wilderness that forms us isn't chosen at all. It arrives, it finds us. A diagnosis, a divorce, season of anxiety, a child who's struggling, a job that changes, a relationship that cracks, financial hit, a move you didn't want, a loss you didn't see coming, chronic pain, a responsibility that lands in your lap when you're already tired, or what Thoreau called quiet desperation. You didn't plan it, you didn't train for it, you didn't pack well, and yet you're in it. In my work, I've seen wilderness show up on a Tuesday afternoon with no warning. When a situation suddenly turns, emotions run hot, and everyone looks to you as if you're supposed to have a clean answer ready. I've also watched it show up at home when you're depleted and the people you love need more from you than you have in that moment. In those moments, something becomes clear. Pressure reduces options, and when options narrow, the inner life becomes visible. But the most dangerous wilderness isn't always a sudden event. The deadliest wilderness I've found is often the grinding pressure of time, the slow, repetitive strain that wears down the inner camp day after day. Sometimes the wilderness doesn't sneak up on you. Sometimes it's waiting for you at the gate. For most of my campus leadership career, I've opened the gate early in the morning to greet arriving students. It's a joy. It's a privilege. I've done it for many, many years. Even so, sometimes that gate has been my wilderness. At 6:45 in the morning, it's dark, it's cold and quiet. I'm alone, waiting for students to arrive. And deep in my inner camp, beneath the surface, where I keep my voice calm and my face steady, I'm already running the day's possibilities. Which teacher will call out sick? Which parent will stomp to the gate and demand I do something about her child's teacher or a student who is being mean? Which bus will be late? Will the teacher on duty actually show up at 7:30 to relieve me so I can get to my early meeting on time? Another meeting with a different parent who's already angry. Standing there, I could feel something happening inside of me. I was still smiling, still greeting students, still doing my job. But beneath the surface, I could feel myself growing a little resentful, a little bit more bitter, more tired of the whole thing. You see, it's not always one dramatic wilderness event, no thunderstorm, no sudden crisis that gets you. I remember once backpacking on the Mogollon Rim in Arizona. We were hit by a sudden rainstorm with lightning and thunder flash banging over our heads. It terrified us. We hurried and we set up our tent while standing in the tent. We crawled in soaking wet, along with our dog, Carly, and we waited it out. That kind of wilderness is an adventure. It becomes a story. It becomes a social media post. It collects a few likes and comments. But slow wilderness is different. My son Danny, my wilderness guide outside, in his 2017 book, Crunch, A Million Snowy Steps Along the Pacific Crest Trail, tells of his stretch through Oregon. He described it as the green tunnel, monotonous, boring, mosquito-infested, never-ending, soul-sucking. That's the wilderness most people don't post. My wilderness as an educational leader wasn't always the traumatic events, lockdowns, or the sudden monsoon flood that ran through our property, or even the day a parent tried to run me over with her car in the parking lot. Those moments were intense, but they're rare. My wilderness was the green tunnel, the never ending quiet pressure where you keep a daily smile, you do what needs to be done, you keep trekking. It was the life of steady responsibility that can slowly turn into quiet desperation if you don't tend the inner camp. What surprised me early in leadership and still humbles me a bit now is that wilderness doesn't only reveal competence, it reveals governance. What is actually running the first camp? Am I led by fear or by principle? Do I reach for control or for clarity? Do I move toward people with patience or away from them with irritation? Do I tell the truth or manage appearances? Do I become steady or do I become loud? Some wilderness is scenic, some is fluorescent lit and full of emails, but it does the same work. There are two ways we enter wilderness. Sometimes wilderness arrives without our permission. Illness, loss, conflict, uncertainty, a responsibility, like I said, we didn't even ask for. Other times, we walk into wilderness one step at a time, not because we set out to suffer, but because repeated choices create a path. Small compromises, avoided conversations, unmanaged appetites, unexamined resentments, and neglected inner life drift. And that kind of wilderness can feel especially disorienting because it comes with a quiet realization. I helped create the conditions I'm now walking through. I'm not saying this to assign blame. I'm saying it because it restores dignity. If choices can lead us into wilderness, choices can also lead us out, one step at a time. In both cases, the wilderness does the same work. It reveals what governs us. The wilderness reveals within and without. The wilderness without is the situation, the pressure, the stakes, the limitation, the fatigue. The wilderness within is what gets exposed in you under that pressure. Often something you didn't even know was there. Not always avoidance, sometimes undiscovered territory. You thought you were fine until you weren't. You thought you were patient until you were tired. You thought you were secure until you were threatened. You thought you were humble until you were ignored. This is why wilderness matters, even if you never step onto a trail, because the wilderness is not only a place, the wilderness is a condition where pressure makes the inner life show itself. My companion on the trail, Marcus Aurelius. When I need a steady mind, I often picture Marcus Aurelius, not as a statue, but as a tired man writing to himself at night, trying to live with clarity inside an empire he couldn't fully control. I can hear him saying something like, "Make the divinity within you guardian. Be a good man." Posture's not dramatic, it's faithful. Meet what arrives. Don't add unnecessary suffering. Do the next right thing. Keep your integrity intact. That's not stoicism as a vibe. That's survival of the soul. Here is your internal practice for this week. Making camp when wilderness finds you. I counsel you to set aside 10 quiet minutes. No distraction, no music, no voices. Just 10 quiet minutes. First, name the wilderness you're in. Choose one current situation that pressures you. Write one sentence. The wilderness I'm walking through is, then fill in the blank. Name how you entered it. Ask honestly, without drama, without emotion. Did this wilderness find me? Or did my repeated choices lead me here little by little? By the way, we'll later name that force behind repeated choices as habit energy. For now, just notice the path. Notice what it reveals in you. Under pressure, what rises first? Control, complaint, comparison, self-pity, avoidance, anger, numbness, people-pleasing, dishonesty, even small, frantic productivity. That's always mine. Be honest, but don't be cruel with yourself. Number 4, find the unmapped interior. Ask this gently. What surprised me about myself here? What part of me became visible that I didn't know I carried? What emotion shows up before I can choose? It's not self-accusation. It's map-making. 5, make camp. A 30-second reorientation. Like Thich Nhat Hanh taught me, take 3 slow breaths. On the in-breath, silently say, calm. On the out-breath, silently say, steady, calm, steady, calm, steady. Then ask one question. What would a principled response look like here? Small, quiet, real. Then choose one action you can respect afterwards. Last, learn something from the trek. Write one sentence. Next time pressure finds me, I want to remember, and then let your spirit answer it. That sentence becomes your trail marker, because wilderness is a teacher without and within if we're willing to learn. In my next post, we're going to go closer to home. It's the everyday wilderness that doesn't feel dramatic, but quietly forms or deforms us through repetition. Hey, thank you for listening to Graybeard Philosophy. If this essay helped you, stay with the practice. Small and faithful is enough. You can find the written version of this podcast at graybeardphilosophy.com. Until next time, learn something for the next trek.